I want to talk a little bit about prayer. Many of you probably have spiritual directors. Maybe you could use a spiritual director. I think it's a wonderful thing, very important for people. And let me talk about a couple of Jesuit spiritual directors, one in particular. So there's St. Teresa of Avila, and she's going to become a doctor of the church from her mystical theology, written in very, kind of homespun language. But she has been talking to a layman to help her to in her spiritual life. The layman brings her to a very holy priest, and he begins to help her. And both of them decide, in one way or another, that the demons are after her, and her different visitations from God are from the demons. So eventually she finds this young Jesuit. He's only ordained a year. He's 24, 25, very young. He directs her for a while, helps perhaps a little bit, moves on, is transferred. Another young Jesuit, same situation, young, and he moves on. And finally, perhaps the youngest of the Jesuits, Baltasar Alvarez, shows up, and he begins to direct her. And he's not sure exactly what is going on, but he also stops condemning her, thinking that this is all from evil. And he begins to read. Years later, he would point to a pile of books and say, those are all the books I had to read to direct Teresa of Jesus. So he studies and begins to write with her and see what was going on, never quite certain until he himself began to experience this deep call to contemplative prayer. And then he began to see exactly what she was talking about. But what was important for him as a director wasn't that he had experienced what she was experiencing, but that he was able to respect that and see where it was going, what fruits were developing in her life through her prayer. And what a wonderful gift of humility he had to do that. And maybe the very fact that he was much younger than she was gave him, perhaps a greater sense that I need to move slowly because I simply don't know everything. And so when prayer happens to us, it can be very helpful to have a spiritual director who can guide us. And St. Teresa would later say, better to have a spiritual director who has studied than one who is holy, because the Holy One only knows how to direct you in the way that he has experienced God. But the one who's willing to read a stack of books in order to help you to pray is the one who can really perhaps guide you in the ways of God. Prayer is so important and so vital, and I do hope that this time of Lent will help you to get more deeply into prayer and allow you, to grow closer to the Lord. Prayer was important for St. Teresa. She even thought, a Jesuit who was wet behind the ears, and he helped her to grow more deeply into her prayer life. And that's the wisdom of my older brother Jesuits for today.